where to locate styles. So there's a number of different ways that you can locate styles within a web page. We'll look through the three main ones, which are what's known as inline styles, document level or embedded styles, or external style sheets. So we'll start with inline styles, because these have what's known as the highest order of precedence, but these are the ones that you're least likely to use, but you do need to be aware of them. So we've got this file here, this index page, and if I preview that in the browser, I can see that there isn't really any styling apart from this text here appears red. If I right click and inspect on that, I can see it's using a span tag here, but the span has an attribute of style. So this is what we call an inline style, and there's the colour being set against it. So I'll locate that in the file. I'll just put the wrap on, and you can see there is the style tag, and there's the colour. And what you've got there is the CSS properties just listed. So if let's say I wanted to underline it, I could add another one in of text decoration underline, and just save that, and then we're back to the browser and refresh. You can see that now appears underlined. Okay, so that's what we call an inline style, and it's controlled by this style attribute. So because they are really close to the element, they are literally within the HTML tag that's wrapped around the element, they have what we call the highest order of precedence. So this styling here is in all likelihood going to get applied to that text. Now, so this seems great, but it does lead to spaghetti code, unmanageable code. So what you're much better to do is place the styles elsewhere. So the second option is to use what's known as a document level style. So these go in the head of the document. So the head of the document is the brains of the web page, and up here you would place the style tag. And then you can declare your CSS rules inside of here. So a rule is a way that we identify which bit of the page we want styling, and the easiest way for me to target that would be to say that I'm targeting what's known as a HTML selector, and the HTML selector I'll use is a span. Spans are just HTML elements just span across content. Okay, and then I could apply the colour that I had there, red, colon, and I could apply the text decoration of underline. Let's throw another CSS property in there as well. Why not use text transform, and we'll make it all uppercase. Okay, so I'll save that. Instead, let me just change the colour of that to green, just to illustrate the point. And if I now save that and go back to the browser and refresh, you'll see that it picks up the text transform. It makes that uppercase, but it's still red. And what you're seeing there is you're seeing the inline style overwriting this green here. So where the properties conflict, the one that's nearer the content, in this case the colour, overrides it. So what I'm going to do is just ditch that style from there. It's much better to avoid these if you can. And now I've just got the span tag on its own, so there's no CSS directly in the HTML element, and you see it picks up the styling and the really bad choice on my part of that green. Okay, so let's change it back to something else. Okay, so we'll just go with red again. Right, so we now got that on red, and I'll go back, refresh, and you can see that. So if I right click on there and inspect, there's the span tag, but I can see that there is styling there that's been applied through the document level style up here. The benefit of that is I might choose to just pick some random element, random place in the document, and apply another span tag to it. So let's say I wrapped it around this lorem ipsum here and saved it. Those two will now pick up that styling. And if I decide I want to change that, then I can just change it into one place. So underlining is perhaps a little bit confusing there. You might expect those to be hyperlinks, which they aren't. So perhaps I'll drop the underline and I'll save that. Maybe I'll apply something else instead. So we've got font weight, which I can use to make it bold. And if I refresh, you see I get that style applied in both those cases. So that's what we call a document level style. Now the other option is to use what's known as an external style sheet. So this is generally the preferred way to work. So let's say that I took that CSS rule, so I'll just cut that from there and I'll place it. I've got a document created here called main.css and I've put that in the styles folder. I'll just save that. So in main.css, what I can do in here is just list the rules that I want to use. So at the moment I've just got the one in here, so I'll save that, go back to here, delete that style tag and save it. Right, so I'll go back to the browser and refresh, and you'll see that those styles have now disappeared because that rule isn't attached to this document. So I've got two options here. First of all, I could just use the link tag. So just type in link. Notice again, this goes in the head of the document, the brains of the document. So I'll put link in here. And if I just hit tab using Emmet in Visual Studio Code, it tells me the relationship of this is that it's the style sheet of this page, and then the href, like the href to create a link. And what I need in there is a path, a URL indicating where the style sheet is. So I have a styles folder and I have main.css which I can pick up. So I refresh and I can see that being attached to that document. In Chrome I could look at network as well and I could see that that was being attached. You can see it there through the network traffic. If the path was broken, if I'd managed to break the path in some way, you would see a 404 there, file not found. You see it's not styling it. So as ever, make sure that you get the paths correct. So just switch that back so it's working fine. Now, one other thing with these links here is, well, you don't have to necessarily use link. You have another option. If I open up the style again, you can use something called @import, which is another way of doing the same thing. I'll pick that up there. And then what you put in is the URL. So again, you need the path as to where you want to load the file. So we can do @import and then we can load that file in like so. And that will give exactly the same output. So if I look at, you'll see in the head, it's using the @import, it's exactly the same. The main difference is it does allow you to add other style sheets into an existing style sheet. So the benefit of holding these styles externally, I know I've only got the one rule in there, but let's add another rule in. So let's say that I added the body in. So this would style everything inside the body, and I put in a font family of Arial Helvetica, and I maybe put in a background colour of grey. So now if I go to my document, what I should have is, you see it's grey and it's put it in Arial. But if I go to one of my other files, it's not picking up any of the styling. So the beauty of these external style sheets is that we can link them to multiple pages, which means they can all pick up the same styling. So I went to qualifications here, which is another file in my set. I could put in a link and I could say styles main.css, save that, go back to here and test that page, and you see it picks up the same styling. It's fairly minimalist styling, but I could repeat that in all of these other files so they all picked up the same styling. And that gives you the kind of major benefit of CSS in that you can have an external style sheet attached to your HTML to style it up, but that external style sheet can be attached to multiple HTML documents such that they all pick up the same look and feel. So what you've got is inline styles are always applied. They're very close to the content, so they have what's known as the highest order precedent, but they're not very flexible. Document level styles are a little bit more easier to control, but they only apply to a particular document. And then finally, the recommended way to work really is to have an external style sheet where you can place your styling in there, you can build up your rules, and you can add them to multiple documents, either with @import or with the likes of link.